Okay, so welcome and hello and welcome to the latest of this Business Spotlight interview series. I'm delighted today to be joined by Rob Best from Stream Computers. Hi, Rob, how are you?
Good morning. I'm good, thanks. How are you doing?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Very well. Thank you for joining us this morning. I'm looking forward to hearing about yourself and your business. So, with that in mind, could you give us some background on you and your business and how you got set up in the first place?
Yeah, sure. I'm Rob from Stream Computer Services, or just Stream. We provide IT services for small businesses across the Northwest. We have some clients a little further afield, but really at the moment, the majority is sort of Liverpool to Penrith.
Okay.
We provide managed IT services, which means we set up systems and then we support those systems. And then we do the usual stuff that goes with it. So maybe new mail accounts need setting up, or there's new systems need putting in place, or upgrades to accounting software, new computers, the whole thing. So we like to be the outsourced IT department for businesses where they just don't have the number of staff to warrant a full-time IT department internally. So we can take that over and very much want to be part of their team. So we aim to be that IT department.
Okay.
And I've been doing that for quite a while. I've always worked in IT with a couple of deviations, but I started in 1995 working in the local computer shop in Burton in Lonsdale, the multimedia shop, which is where I cut my teeth, really. Back then, we were still building computers and doing all of the troubleshooting that goes with trying to set up modems and things like that. It was good times, and that's where I started to learn about doing computer networking.
Right. Okay.
And working there, that was before I went to university. I did a degree in computer science, which is a great background, but doesn't help you with necessarily fixing someone's email problem. But it's good to have that to fall back on, particularly when you're doing some of the network things. And so working there was my apprenticeship, really. And then I decided to go and work in London. So I worked for an investment bank in London doing the IT support, doing some trade floor support. And so it was great to get an opportunity to see how an IT department works in an enterprise setting where they've got all the tools, and the cost of putting a system in is limitless, really. They just want to have the thing working. So that was a good opportunity to see those things. But also it made me realize that trade floor support is difficult. The relationship between you and the client essentially is very strained in that environment. It's very time sensitive. I can understand, but it made me think about the approach to what our relationships with our clients are like, and how that affects us in terms of our working day, their working day, the relationship, and the success of what we do. So I think that probably led to me wanting to set up my own thing, do it the way that I see it, the way that I want to work.
Sure.
And then after a few meanders, ended up here. So Stream Computer Services, as it is now, as you see it, we was 2021, I think. I became a limited company. So that's this iteration. Before then, I was a sole trader and doing home and business stuff. But over time, it's just the focus has come on business, the business side of it, and we let the computer shop handle the home side of it. So it's a natural split that's working well. So quite a while. I've been doing this quite a while.
Cool. I guess knowing that area, and obviously people that may be listening and watching won't know the area as well. Yeah, Burton's not a very big place at all to have a computer. So how have you kept that business operating in those circumstances? Because obviously there's not a huge catchment area.
Well, the catchment area is decent, really. It's spread out, and really, tip of the hat to Simon that runs the shop there, that I learned everything when I started off from him. So a lot of this is to do with his perseverance in terms of keeping the shop open in Burton and Lonsdale. The business side that we do takes care of itself. There are enough clients around there. For a shop in Burton and Lonsdale, it's a little village. The appeal for a lot of people in the area is you don't have to drive into town. You don't have to deal with the one-way system in Lancaster and find somewhere to park. You could park outside, friendly atmosphere, community atmosphere, really. And it's become such an important part of the community there. I know that the local residents will not let Simon retire. So they live in fear of the shop not being there. It's an amazing resource. You can imagine for people that are a little unsure, particularly older people, I suppose, in the community as well, where they've got a new iPhone or such and such, and they feel like they're not getting the most out of it, or something happens and they don't know what to do with it. They can pop in and they can ask a question, and it's not like everything is an invoiceable transaction. You just pop in and that bit of advice, there's enough work there. So I guess that's how you keep it going. You're important to the community because you're doing a good thing for people.
No, absolutely. And I mean, like you say, technology now touches every element, every aspect of day-to-day life, and you kind of it's great to have that kind of resource, like you say, available to people that would struggle to make the most of what is out there and what is available. So great. And that community is really nice to hear as well, in terms of how you can build that in any kind of business by being that kind of go-to person, become the expert, and then build the relationships with your customers as well, so you become an integral part of that area and their lives as well. So really good. So talk me through, so you talked about a couple of years ago, so why the decision to go limited, and then how's that worked out for you since then?
A lot of the decisions that I've made over the last 5 years were, my father passed away in 2017.
Right.
And up to that point, I was working as a sole trader because the hours suited me. It meant I could help him. He needed help at home.
Right. Okay.
And it was a difficult time. It was the right thing to do for me. That's where I felt that my focus needed to be. So the idea of having to be available 9 to 5 Monday to Friday, there was less pressure on that. I didn't have managed service contracts or agreements with clients in place. It was just the ad hoc stuff. So it meant that I could bend and stretch a bit and still have good availability. If someone had a problem, I was still there to quickly sort it out. But it meant I could, if I needed to nip over, I could nip over for half an hour. I wasn't tied down to a particular job where if I were employed by someone, that would have been an incredibly difficult time. And so after he'd passed away, I spent a while, how do you put it, feeling sorry for myself, mourning, I suppose. Just it was of course it was a hard time, and I kind of got to this point, had this realization one day, the last thing he would want is for me to not be doing the most that I can do, or having a life on pause or something like that because of him. I thought that would be literally the last thing that he would want.
Right. Yeah.
So I decided to take it the other way, go in the other direction. I think that one of the big differences that you can make, and particularly if you're starting up your own business, is that you take on the responsibility. And I think responsibility, I think some people take on responsibility and see that as the value that they bring to somebody else. And I think that was an important step. So I decided that that's what I was going to do. I already had been looking into what other IT companies do, what the market is like in terms of tools that are available to use. So I had some background, some idea of those things, and I thought, right, I'm going to implement that. And I had a call from a company, a software company that do the remote management tools
Right.
that we started using. And they were talking about these tools, and they were talking about what these cost per seat or whatever, and it seemed astronomical.
Right.
That it meant that my costs to run a business were just absolutely skyrocketed to an unimaginable amount. Where I thought that this is how do you even start with this?
Yeah.
How do you begin? And working through that process allowed us to put things in place, get clients connected onto them. I had meetings with the existing clients that we had and talked about this system, and slowly started to roll that out. And then we had the lockdowns with COVID. And that work that I'd started doing put us in an amazing position to help our clients work remotely. So they were starting to work from home, and they had some devices they could take home, some that they couldn't. How could they access files that were on the server and that kind of thing? You know, for a lot of businesses, they hadn't moved all their stuff into the cloud. You know, the more I don't want to say forward thinking, but the more forward thinking companies had started that move to the cloud as well. It's one of those things where it's not immediately obvious why you would do that, and then something like lockdown happens, and you see, well, it's difficult for a small business that doesn't have, you know, all of the equipment there, like they don't have VPN servers set up and ready to go. How do they work from home? How do they work from home today and tomorrow when it's just been thrust upon them? We could have connection end to end, so we could get onto the computers that were in their office when it was empty. We could get onto the servers, we could configure things, we could put equipment in place if it was needed, and start doing cloud migrations. So there were a lot of clients jumped on board at that point, to get that system in place so that they could continue operating, which was obviously fundamental importance.
Of course.
And so allowing that whole process really moved things on as a business. And it's, I guess, the more serious you start taking things, the more serious it becomes.
Yeah, of course.
And so it just became obvious that I needed to be VAT registered, which I did prior to becoming a limited company. I was still VAT registered as a sole trader, but just because I was dealing with business clients.
Yeah, sure.
And I wanted to match how they look. If they were VAT registered and we're not VAT registered, I felt there was a little bit of a disparity in terms of how we were set up and how they were set up. And so I felt it was important to kind of align with the kind of clients that we wanted. So, and also because we buy and sell computer hardware, it's difficult if you're not VAT registered when you're doing that. And so then becoming a limited company just seemed like the obvious next step, and I wish I'd done it much sooner.
Cool. Good. Excellent. Nice. Some interesting points there. So thanks for sharing. Obviously, the background to the decision. You know, that's can totally understand what you're saying in terms of the impact of that kind of stuff is going to have and the decision making process. And I'm glad to hear that you've kind of come out the other side of that. You know, and it's a positive move for you in that way. So thanks for that. That's been great. What makes you so, obviously there's quite a lot of competition in your space nowadays, or it has been for a while, but clearly lots of businesses out there doing a similar kind of role or job that you guys can provide. So what makes you different or stand out from the competitors in your sector, would you say?
Yeah, there's a lot of IT companies. I think it's a great sector. I think that there are more people using computers than there are people maintaining and fixing computers. So I think it's good. I think we have a good community in our space. I'm a member of some online forums, and I'm always keen to reach out to people locally that are working in IT as well. You know, I always say there's more of them than there are of us. So in that sense, I think it's I think it's an inclusive community of people that do IT stuff. You know, we've got more in common with each other, so we should be able to get on well. You do find some places where there's times when if I'm phoning up a technical support line, I've learned with over experience, the last thing I say is, I work in IT, so you don't need to do X, Y, and Z. You know, I'd never say something like that. It's so counterproductive. And I think a lot of the time you got to have an ear for what you would want to hear if you were in that situation. So really, we focus on what we do. So we do the nuts and bolts of providing IT services with email setup and the security that goes around that, and understanding how the system works, for the clients to understand how the system works, and working with them, making sure that what we look at is not trying to bring a limitation because, well, this is what the system will do, and impose systems on people. It's talking to them about what does their workflow really look like. And sometimes there can be a little bit of reticence in saying, well, we write that bit down on a piece of paper. It's like, we need to know these things. I've ended up in discussions about how people's businesses run in a way that perhaps they don't expect to hear. I want to know what it's like from, the moment the phone rings, you pick it up, you do this, you do that. Let's go through what those things are. And are there areas where that could be more efficient if? So there's one of our clients who I shan't name, and I'm not trying to embarrass them. Their best thing for them in terms of their bookings is they've got a big calendar book that they write in by hand, and everyone can go in and have a look. And if it's not in the book, it's not happening. So that works really well for them. And as you can imagine, it's worked like that for them for years. And so that's a process that you don't want to just pile in and say, this should be digital. This should be an online calendar. This should be something else. Because when people have systems that have been in for a long time, processes, I should say, that have been in for a long time, there's usually a reason that process is like that. And it's through the hard-won lessons of the problems that they've had, and then they've tweaked it. And then over time, anything that's been there, probably 30 years with a book like that, they get a new book every year or whatever, but the process has been there for that time. So we don't look to break those things. It's not trying to make things, digitize everything. It's not about doing everything on the computer. I think they are a tool amongst other tools that you use, and that's what they should be for. Now, of course, increasingly we've been pushed in the direction of using the computers all day, every day. And of course, there are, behind the details of how a particular business might run, there are a lot of similarities. They know they want to be sending emails, and they know that they want to be creating documents, and they want them to be saved in secure locations. So in terms of as an industry or community of what we do as IT support companies, it's there's a lot of commonalities there. So we are a Microsoft partner, and we work with Microsoft 365. So when we're working with a client and maybe they've got their emails and when they got their website, they got some mailboxes that came with the website. And they work, they're functional, but they don't have the extra features that once you start talking to somebody about what they really want, that they would like the calendar syncing on their phone and on the computer, so they're getting alerts if they've put things in there, and regardless of where they put them. And so we work with the Microsoft 365 products because they are the best products on the market at the moment. So we're a Microsoft partner, but we're not wedded to Microsoft. If there were a better product, we would use it.
Yeah.
But as it stands right now, you're not going to get better bang for your buck than from the Microsoft product. So yes, other IT companies, they're going to do the same thing. They're going to be offering the same services. They will be Microsoft partners as well, which is great because it makes the community a resource. We're a resource for each other because you can find, particularly on forums and things like that, where people are talking about it. They're talking about the kind of problems that you're going to have yourself or you haven't seen coming, and it's really good that we do use those same things. So we focus on what we do, and it's a given that you can do those things. You've got to have the tech skills to do it, otherwise you're not going to be around very long.
Yeah.
So that's a given. Really, we focus on trying to take all of the techie side away from it, taking the fear out of these systems, the fear of change, and particularly where people feel that it's change just for the sake of doing it. We don't enforce things on people. We don't say you must do it like this. There are some exceptions to do with certain security things or how files are shared and this, that, and the other. But in terms of fundamentally, the fundamentals of their workflow, we're not trying to break that. We're trying to augment it and make it more efficient, or look at the systems that they've got and make them more efficient. Sure. But I think we've all experienced bad customer service, and we know what that feels like to be on the other end of it. And I don't want any of our clients to feel that way. I want them to feel that when you have a good customer service experience, it's unnecessarily refreshing. It should be like that more of the time. When you phone up with a problem, you want to feel that someone cares about it.
Yep.
Someone is, on it, that you're going to have a timely resolution, that they understand what the problem is, and that they listen. And so a lot of the focus is on that, the relationships that we have with our clients. We want to be their IT department. It's important that we're on the same team.
Yeah.
We're not Microsoft, or we're not any of the other software clients. We provide those services, but we make them work for them. So we have Microsoft define how this product works. Mm-hmm. Maybe it has some problems within it, but we've made the decision together that we're going to use these Microsoft products. So if there is an issue with Microsoft Word doing something weird with such and such, or there was an update that broke something, we're here to help. We're on the same team.
Yeah.
And so it kind of goes back to what I was saying when I was working in London. You want to feel that you've got shared goals with your clients. It's not, I don't want them to feel that it's them against us, that, well, IT said we can't do it, or IT said this. It's not like that. We're part of the team. We're just not in the office. Mm-hmm. And if they've got a problem, we are their fastest route to fix anything.
Yeah.
And, for the most part, we set it up. And so we understand it. I get questions saying, well, who's the system administrator? We had an email come through. Who's the system administrator? And so, well, I am. Or we are, we do that role. There isn't somebody else. We're there to make it work for them in the way that they want it to work.
Cool. Great. Yeah, no, some really interesting points. Yeah, just that personal touch, that getting to feel as part of the business, I think is absolutely vital when you're providing. And when someone outsources something from their business, the more they feel that person is inclusive or included in the decision-making process as well, can really help, make that transition, whatever it needs to be, work as smoothly and efficiently as possible. So some really interesting points there. Cool. So looking ahead to the future, what does that look like for you, and what do you see as your main challenges for Stream over the next few years?
Simon is going to retire at some point from the shop in Burton and Lonsdale. And I've spent so much time working there. And also, I can see what an important part it is for the community, that we're going to keep that going. And so we're looking to do more. I want to. So I don't have children of my
Right.
own, but I've got 2 nephews,
Yeah.
and they look up to me. It's not something that I've got a choice in. They do. You know, being a role model has been thrust upon me, and that's fine. And it's very important to me. And I mean, the eldest of the 2, he'd come and work for me tomorrow.
Yeah.
He's 9 years old.
Yeah.
So, you know, he wants to make computer games, but he's definitely interested in it without necessarily understanding the details of what that means. But I know that he likes the environment. He likes my office, and he likes the way that it's set up in there. And so I want to build something now where, when he's not 9, you know, in 10 years' time, where he does have that place to come.
Yeah.
And it is an environment that he wants to work in. I'm very keen to have a nice working environment. We spend so much time working that it's such a shame if you don't enjoy it. And I do exactly. I've got my dream job. I do exactly what I want to be doing. I love the challenges. I love working in this field, and I suspect that my nephew will feel something similar. So I want to have something where he can do that. So we're looking to grow it into the business that would allow that to be supported down the line, and also his brother as well. So even though he's only 5, but who knows what he wants to do? They can do whatever they want. But if they want to do this, and I think they probably will, then, you know, I'll at least have a Saturday job for them. So in terms of doing more on the business side, that's important to try and grow that so that it is sustainable and will be there in 10 years' time. And then there's the other side of it for home users, having the computer shop, having that touch point in the community, which I think it helps both sides. And also, you know, the number of times that we're talking to a business client and they say, "Wow, would you have a look at my computer at home? I'm having problems with such and such. You know, my laptop's slow," which you know, I must hear that 10 times a week. And so having that side of it, we you know, if it's the home stuff, it gets done in the computer shop, and so we will continue that. So that's going to be the biggest challenge, because right now, in terms of the resources that we have at our disposal internally, I'm the best person to run the computer shop, and I don't have time to run that computer shop because I'm full bore doing what I'm doing now. So it's going to be a case of rejigging things and whatnot. So to put those things in place. So the 2-year vision is to take that over and make that hub for the community. I want people to be able to come in and ask a question and have a place where they can do it, because you can Google stuff, but you're going to get a mixed bag of responses. It's knowing how to filter that out. And so people are not comfortable doing that. If people said to me, "Oh, how do I do such and such?" and my answer all the time was just Google it. You know, they soon get fed up of hearing that, and it's not what they want. You know, we're translating, really. Something, it starts off very techie at the far end and gets less so until you get it to a point where you can have a conversation with someone that doesn't have that background in all of those things, and explain it to them, or a metaphor that would help just to understand how something might work. So the challenges are going to be in terms of trying to find people who want to work with us. So I think the best thing I can do is to make our working environment as appealing as possible. So that's the plan at the moment. And as I say to Connor, who works, he does the sort of first line answering the phone things. If there's something that I asked him what drinks do you like? Let's get some stuff in the fridge. Like, do you want some cans of Coke in there or something like that? I want that feel where you come into work and it's a nice place to be. It's not a slog. There are enough tricky jobs that come in. You don't want the office environment to be something that drags you down. I want it to be a positive, nice place to work. I'm there, all the time. And so I want to be in a place, I want the office to have a feel that is where I want to be. Yeah. And so hopefully that then, sort of cascades down to people that are working there. And if there's anything, I say to Connor, if there's anything at all, just let me know. I want to fix it. It's not a problem. The problem is that you're not happy about something. Let's get it sorted out. And so that's the plan. That's the tricky thing is going to be, I suppose, finding people. It's a difficult process, finding people that are good enough, that you can trust, that will have that nice touch with clients. And also just, the workload when we take over the shop. But I'm looking forward to that.
So when it comes to, kind of preempted one of my questions about the qualities so you obviously talk about providing the environment to people feel valued and feel part of the business, and obviously clearly that creates a positive atmosphere, and obviously that should then will lead to better productivity, better retention, etc. What about you talk about bringing people in? What are the qualities that you look for or will be looking for when it comes to bringing people into String?
Yeah, I think having been through this process once, I think successfully, I'm certainly happy with where things are.
Good.
The things that I prioritized were trust and the ability to talk to people on like a sort of one-to-one personal level.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to be dictating particular processes that we use internally to how to deal with a problem, and it to become too rigid, so that when someone phones up, it feels like they're not listening. Mm-hmm. They're not being listened to. Sorry. And the way to do that is to talk to a person directly as a person, not as a problem or a client, but as the person that's there. And so that, in terms of the technical side of it, there are certainly requirements for that. Mm-hmm. But the advantage of using industry standard products means that you've got a good chance of, people have been exposed to a lot of these things as well from the user end. So having an interest technically is important, because otherwise you're going to struggle trying to get the hours in that you need to feel more confident when you're sorting out problems. It's been great seeing the development in Connor over time and the progress that he's made. So my approach was to give him a subset of things to work on that I knew we could really kind of systemize, almost like where you could almost write the algorithm out and say, do this, then do this, then do this.
Yeah.
Until that you internalize that. And then when you're talking to someone, you're just having a nice chat with the person and you're doing those processes in the background. Yeah. So clients need to trust we have access to their systems. And so trust is a big part of it, which you can only build in time. I can feel it with new clients where they trust on the sort of the initial superficial perhaps level when they first met you, or maybe they've been someone's recommended, and so they know that you're in the area, they know that little bit about you. But it does take that bit of time for that trust to be built and for them to open up. And cool. So I really think that's important. I can teach people how to do the technical stuff, or the technical stuff that I need them to do. I can't teach them to be personable with somebody on the phone. So that has been the priority. That was the priority with Connor, and I think it was the right thing to do. The technical side is something that you have to do as an IT support company. So yeah, we've got that boxed off.
Great. No, absolutely. I think, you're right in terms of a lot of the times people look at the skill first rather than the qualities or the behavior or the values second. And ultimately, you can teach skill, you can't sometimes teach behavior, can you? So
yeah, and I think for backroom roles where like something very technical,
yeah, of course.
where if we were to bring those in-house in terms of wanting to have someone that just did those things, I would very much be looking from a technical perspective then. And that has its own appeal. It's lovely to bring a new skill set on board, and I'm certainly not closing the door to that at the moment. What we need is first line, answering the phone, talking to people, dealing with people, and that level of the relationship.
Brilliant, great stuff. So I guess two final questions. One is kind of your biggest learning since you've been a business owner, and then kind of following from that, what would be your best advice for someone who does decide that now's the time for them to start their own business up? So yeah, those are the final two questions, really.
Yeah. Okay. So I think what I've learned most since I started my own business is that it's hard work, but I've learned that I can do it.
Yep.
And I put in a lot of hours doing what I do, and it's amazing what you can do when you put your mind to it. I think it feels like a big step going from being the sole trader and wanting to have that flexibility in my time through to wanting to take on the responsibility and wanting to be able to offer that extra value on top of IT services of, really being available and taking responsibility for people's systems so that they know that those things are looked after. Sure. And so learning that I can do that has been a thing. I used to work late nights, do a lot of late nights. A lot of the systems that we have in place now, I learned the intricacies of those, after midnight on a lot of sessions, changing things around so that clients need you in the mornings. Whereas, if before, when I was up that late, 10 o'clock would feel early when you're up till 3 o'clock in the morning messing around with a server doing something or other, and you think, I should go to bed. That change around was big. So I learned that about myself. I learned that I can do that hard work. It's what I wanted to do, and I've done it, and that's good. The other thing is you start off you start your own business for whatever reasons, and you're isolated. It feels like you're reinventing the wheel with every single thing. How do I do my books? How do I register for VAT? All of these things. As I've met more people, as things have grown, I really feel that there is a good community of people who are business owners that are prepared to talk about their experiences and give advice. And that was unexpected. I don't know why it was unexpected, but I didn't see that coming. And I guess you have an idea in your mind of what business owners are like what is that archetype? It's not what I thought it was. It's not what people think it is. We're all just real people doing our thing, and for that barrier to be broken down, and I've met some wonderful people who have been incredibly helpful, and really allowed me to get to the point that I'm at today. That was the community that's within it. I didn't see it coming, and so that was good. In terms of someone setting up their own business or going through that process and the things that they would learn, nothing beats perseverance. You don't always feel like doing it, right? you are you fully on every morning when you wake up? No, but you do it.
Yeah.
If you just repeat the process and you start and you get on with things and you do it,
Yeah.
then everything just is pulled along with that. That's what will guide things forward, is do it every day.
Yeah.
And don't let it slip. It's not easy. It's not easy. It's an incredibly hard thing to do. Anybody that's set up their own business knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah. 100%.
You know, we all go through that despair and,
Yeah.
you know, I thought it was going to be easy or whatever. You know, I'm not going to work for somebody else. I'm going to do my own thing. I'm going to be the boss. It's like, well, careful what you wish for.
Yeah. No,
but it's a very positive experience. It's very satisfying to have your own idea of how you want things to be, how you want to work, what you want your day to look like, and to put that into action. I think it's one of the most empowering things that you can do. So I feel if someone has that feeling inside them that they want to do it and they're not sure, just do it. You just do it. It's not everyone. You can't. You know, it's if you've got nothing to lose, that great. Just do it.
Yeah.
Sometimes people have other things going on. How are you going to support a family when you just start up your own business? You're going to have to be working part-time and whatnot. But if you can get there, it's an incredibly satisfying process, and you end up with your ideal job.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think I think a couple of points you made there are absolutely critical when you talk to business owners. I think, you know, there's days when you just turning up is enough, right? Just showing up is enough, because you show up, and it's sometimes I think, you know, I found that sometimes those are the days where you find out the most, or you have the big break, or the day where you think, oh, I just can't do it. So but then you're like, I've got to do it. I'm going to go. Whatever it is I need to do, I'm going to go and do. And you show up, and you know, and good things happen from that. It's extraordinary sometimes when that is the case. Yeah, perseverance is and then the network of, like I say, with business owners, I think, once you start talking to other business owners, whatever, it doesn't matter what business they're in, they've all gone through the same things, and ultimately people don't want to see people, not suffer, but if they can help and avoid, the pitfalls of what they went through, and they can add value to someone's business by just saying, look, these are my experiences, this is what I might do slightly differently, or have you thought about doing it like this? They could be invaluable conversations. So reaching out and speaking to as many people as possible, and realizing that whilst you might feel you're on your own in one way, you certainly aren't, if you can build that network of companies and businesses around you, for sure.
Yeah.
Great stuff. So final question is about, I think we touched on something, but what inspires you, or is inspiring you at the moment?
Having somewhere that my nephews can get Saturday jobs in and work there, and the feeling that I can support them. I think thinking of our local community, it's to have the kind of job that I'm imagining that they could have, or even what I'm doing now. I think this is, in my opinion, what I do is the best job that you could possibly have, which is why I do it. I hope other people think the same thing about what they're doing. And so that, in terms of it being that kind of job, that type of job, I think for opportunities for young people in this area, I'd love to be able to give them the opportunity to work in this field. It's exciting, and it's relevant, and it touches everybody. 100%. And so to be part of something that I focus on my nephews, but really I suppose it extends to anybody. I mean, anybody in their age group in 10 years' time, what are the opportunities going to be? Are they going to move away? Which, it's good, go and see places and whatnot, but we don't want our local community to be poorer for that.
No, sure.
So to have opportunities that are here, we're living in a different world than 30 years ago. The connectivity that we have with our systems now is on a different level, and we live in a beautiful part of the world,
Yeah.
and so why can't we have both?
Yeah,
You know, we can do, if I can build this, then for the number of people that I can employ, then that's exactly the kind of job that I would want, that I'm glad that I can do, and I certainly want as an opportunity for my nephews. So yeah, that keeps me going, like all the time. Like when I see them, I think about that. And so that is, that the biggest point of inspiration. I was going to say my dad as well, that he got me into IT in the first place.
Okay.
So it feels like it's a constant positive reminder.
Yeah.
I know that, like, he probably wouldn't even understand some of the stuff that I'm doing now, but he was a big influence in terms of me getting into doing IT stuff at all. It was them him buying the computer that we had at home when I was growing up, the ZX Spectrum and all of that, and getting into programming and things. And so that's still with me. I still feel it. So it makes me just, never take a backwards look.
Yeah. Perfect. Well, yeah. Look, I think family shines through from both angles on that answer. So, there's nothing more powerful than that kind of stuff when it comes to inspiration. If you can draw on that, and like you say, when you're business owner, you need that to get you through the tougher times. So yeah, no, I appreciate your time today, Rob. It's been great to hear from you about you and your story. Very finally, where can you get, if people are interested in finding out more about Stream and what they offer, what's the best way of contacting or finding that out?
You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find the company on LinkedIn, or you can go to our website, which is streamcomputers.co.uk, and then get in touch. Give us a call. Let's have a chat.
Indeed. Great stuff. Well, Rob, thank you once again. It's been a pleasure to speak to you. Some fascinating insights into yourself and your story. So yeah, once again, thank you very much, and good luck for the future.
Thank you very much.
Cheers, Rob. Thanks.
Cheers. Bye-bye.